Okay, welcome everyone. We have a special guest today. This is Katie Holland from Awakened Bellydance. She is a serial entrepreneur since she was 19 years old and also has two kids as well. And so we've asked her on to talk about what are the different challenges, the opportunities, and strategies for a successful entrepreneurial parent. So welcome, Katie. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. Thanks, Brian. Excited to talk about all of this.
Yeah, it's definitely something that more people are stepping into their own power, their empowerment, getting out of corporate life and taking their own vision into their own hands. So it seems to be like a very growing theme nowadays. And with the responsibility of children as well, it seems to be quite it can bring on lots of challenges. And so you've taken a look at 4 different challenges that entrepreneurs with kids can face. And the first one is dealing with time and time management. So how do you manage your time and optimize your performance?
Well, now my children are young adults, and so I haven't got the kind of childcare aspect or anything to think about anymore. They're both working as well, and we're living in different countries at the moment. So I had them, both of them, by the time I was 24. By the time I was 38, they'd both left home. So it's been a different kind of journey for me. And of course, I still see them a lot, but at the moment, we don't live together. So my time management, whether with the kids when they were small or now, I guess I'm not really for a Capricorn, I'm not very structured with this. So I remember many nights when they were small, and I would have a choreography to rehearse, and I would be doing it at 2 a.m. That was my rehearsal time. And my trick was, they didn't have a bedtime. I would let them just stay up until they fell asleep, because then they would sleep in for longer in the morning, because I'm also not really a morning person.
Right.
So yeah, they might fall asleep 10, 11, something like that, and then I would do any rehearsals that I needed to do, and then we would all wake up, say 9 o'clock, something like that, and this really suited the routine really for all of us. And I don't really have anything, I don't have fixed work hours, because as you know, I travel a lot, and so if I'm teaching online, and there's all kinds of different time zones, which could be early, it could be late, and so I kind of take book those classes in, or if they're in person, and then anything else I need to do, admin or anything like that, I fit it around it. So it's yeah, there's no fixed structure basically, and that really works for me.
Yeah, no one's really there to make sure that things stay on task, right? It's like we've got to create that ourselves. So for me, I find, putting that structure in place the night before so that I can get that jump on the day instead of, waking up and doing planning in the morning is, oh, well, there's 2 hours that are gone, when I can do that at night and just kind of bullet point the day, or let's say the next day, to get that action plan really moving in the mornings. Yeah, for entrepreneurs, it's a very organic type space. So having more of a disciplined approach has really supported my businesses along the way, and especially since I had been running 3 or 4 at a time, right? So lots of moving parts, right? Can be quite a challenge yet. And especially if you have, other teams that you're working with, employees, that type of thing. So yeah, it's definitely an interesting.
Yeah, and I think it's a bit like how people learn in different ways. Some people are very visual, some people need to do it. And I think being an entrepreneur, there's different ways that people do things that suit the way that they are better. And I think so for me to not have a particularly fixed structure, I can do that because I'm also very disciplined. I'm a very much a list writer, and actually I've got, well, my current notebook. I mean, I really hate all this thing about making lists in notes and digitalizing things. So I have let me find. I have like various things like
Right.
this,
Right.
and this is for this week.
Right. Yeah,
So
that's really good.
it's and this kind of chaotic way that for anyone else they'd look and not know what was happening, but for me that's the easiest way I can refer to that.
Yeah, I've got both a digital and a written journal, right? So I use an app that's just for notes, and that's mostly for the scheduling and different task lists, that type of thing, and any long form of writing. So once I digitize it, I can automatically copy and paste to where it needs to go if it's like a different website or a blog post, something like that. Yeah, when it comes to like free, organic, just brainstorming or sketching, like I've got a big notebook for that, right? A sketchbook that opens flat, and then it's just, a big white playground. So, right, especially drawing out different symbols or diagrams or workflows or processes, like that stuff, it's better to just let it flow. So yeah,
Yeah,
I do the same thing, right? It's good to get it out
yeah,
on paper and then,
uh, yeah.
okay, so then when it comes to priorities, what hard decisions have you had to make when it comes to both the family life and business?
Yeah, this has been quite tricky for me through my life of because also I didn't study business. I didn't have any kind of business mentor or anybody saying to me you have to prioritize yourself or make sure you take days off. I didn't have anyone to tell me any of this. And being in my early 20s, and I was just right, let's do it. And I and I took the work because as a performer, and when I was living in India, it's like you take the performances, and even before we went there and the kids were really small, I missed so many things, like when they first started to walk or when they first said a word. I wasn't with them, so this it's like I was with them at other points when they did that, but I missed lots of firsts, and especially with my daughter. And then living in India, because the main performance time, of course, is Christmas and New Year, and you can guarantee that if it was any of our birthdays, I would always get a booking. So the way that I got the way I got around that was we just would make Christmas any day that we felt like it. And in fact, when they were really small and they didn't know about dates and things, I wouldn't even say it's Christmas because often we were in countries that you wouldn't actually know. So like Morocco, and now they say to me, "You never told us it was Christmas, and we had it 3 days later." And I said, "Yeah, but we still did it." And yeah, and I think I changed my birthday a few times as well. So
Right. I've actually been doing that as well, the same way. It was always more of a concept of it doesn't matter when we do it, as long as we do it, right? So it didn't matter if
exactly,
it was on
yeah.
the day, right? As long as we spent the time and we did it. So yeah,
Yeah,
it works.
yeah, and I quite like, especially with Christmas, I quite like doing it when everybody else isn't doing it, and just making our day because we feel like it.
Right.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've had to like miss some concerts and just moving priorities around to launch new t-shirt lines and missing concerts and different engagements and going out and things like that. And also choosing family time instead of responding to non-emergencies. When it comes to business, it's like those notifications
Mm.
come through. It's like, well, that's not an emergency, that can wait, right? So it's kind of like a standard rule across
Yeah.
all business units now. Yet the opposite is then also true. So when there is an emergency, it's like I'm an on-call doctor, and everything is shift at a moment's notice. We're hanging out. Oh, I've got to go, right? And so having understanding family with
Yeah.
around you is also really quite good, right? That they understand the
Yeah. And
priorities can sometimes change in a moment.
yeah. And I think over the years I've got better at saying no as well. And taking a weekend off, or uh yeah, like you say, just prioritizing family time. And because I think for a long time I didn't really understand the difference between what was my passion, which was also is my work as well, because I was dancing. And I didn't see it as work, and still now I don't think of it as I'm going to work. It's more I'm living my dreams.
Right,
So it becomes really, it's hard to differentiate, because I can be living my dreams, spending time with family, and also teaching a retreat.
right,
And yeah, there's not really obviously there's different things in each, but there's no difference to me, it, because it's not something terrible for me to go to work.
right,
So
right. Yeah, it's more of an
so I had to,
integrated experience.
yeah, yeah. And I had to learn more of, okay, this is this time, and this is this time,
Right,
in that way. And yeah, to try and give them a bit of space from each other.
right. Yeah, and having that time just for you in there as well, just to breathe a little bit, right?
Yeah.
That's also important to prioritize as well.
Mm.
Right. So when it comes to another challenge that entrepreneurs, well, busy ones as well, can face is delegating responsibility, right? And dealing with having too much responsibility or too many things on your plate, and then having to, decide what it is I'm meant to do at the moment because there's too much to do. So delegating responsibility kind of comes along with the territory, right? So how have you dealt with delegating responsibility as an entrepreneur?
Mm. Again, this has been something I've had to learn, because I've always been a very, kind of one woman, doing it all, warrioring it through.
Right,
It Yeah, there's not many things really over the years that I've delegated, because um, it's me, like I'm the product.
right,
So I've thought many times to, really I do need a PA, but at the same time, the way that I do things, it's so personal to me, because I don't write generic hooks, or I don't post things at certain times. Again, I do it when I feel I get that feeling to do it. And
right,
then it's a completely intuitive, spur of the moment writing, or a picture or something. So when I've thought about that, and then thinking, but how do I get what's in here into somebody else without them asking me all the time? And then I'm doing it anyway. So again, this was one of the ways when I thought I have to make this, yeah, again, like a more separate time that I do these things, in small chunks throughout the day, rather than it's 9 till 4. Or yeah, I do. I prefer to just answer emails or messages as it comes in, rather than having to do it in a chunk of time and go through 50 emails. So people often will get a reply from me within half an hour. I'm just like boom, 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 and wherever I am, I'm walking down the street and sending a message, voice message, to reply to a student or somebody. So I feel, yeah, that because I'm spontaneous with it. But for delegating, I guess more at home, thankfully my husband really loves cooking and cleaning, and these are not my not my area of expertise. So he really takes care of pretty well all of that. Really, it's very rare that I cook unless it's for myself sometimes. And things, I don't know, like paying bills or going food shopping, he does all of it, unless there's some time we go together to go shopping. So that day-to-day life is really taken care of. I just about managed to make the bed. If you if he's not here, it's not going to happen.
Right.
But like last week, I sent him a photo of the unmade bed because he was away, and I was like, "Oh, it's so blissful not to make the bed." But, but yeah, I feel that takes a huge load from me, and then I can really focus on what I'm doing, and it gives me the chance that I can take time off, because if I was also doing all of the kind of house things and that side, then there wouldn't be a moment in the day for me.
Right. It can be a bit much, hence the need to have different roles and have the team that's
Mm.
close to you really pitching in. Yeah, for
Yeah.
for my side, it's really started as like a trust issue, right? So I always kept everything really close to the chest, right? It's like because I was running like a perfectionist program, right? And no one else can do it like I can do it, right? And that's got to just be let go to
Mm.
scale these different businesses and bring on teams and work with others well. So over time, building that trust to delegate and not be such a control freak or perfectionist, that's that's really been very valuable, right? And also I can gain a lot of time from that as well. It's been one of the hardest things for me to overcome as an entrepreneur, and the most freeing at the same at the same time. Right. So yeah, you get so much extra time when you're able to have great people that you can simply trust, okay, that's going to be done then, and I don't have to think about it, and then I can just balance it with something else. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think as well, it's recognizing where you're the things that you don't know how to do. So for me, website, like delegating that to you, this was amazing for me. And that all that side of things, really editing photos or um, with videos. Again, my husband's a photographer, so he at the minute he's doing a video for me. So this technical side is like I probably could learn how to do it, but I don't want to. And I don't feel that I need to, because somebody else can do it in a really brilliant way.
Right. Yeah, and they love that part of the business as well. So that's when delegation is really
Mm,
great.
yeah. And also, just while you were speaking, it came to me thinking about the from seeing our parents and their the way that they dealt with work life, and if they were working or at home. And it made me think about my dad. He was self-employed as well, at some point, as well as at another time working for a company, but he was very solo and very entrepreneurial as well, although it was in a completely different line of business. But for me, growing up, it was just him. He was doing all his accounts and doing everything that he needed to do, going to see the customers, and I think that obviously, like everything else that we learn from our parents, this also had an effect on me, because I didn't see him delegating. So it's interesting to kind of see the patterns that have been created.
Yeah, that's yeah, the parents are really good role models when it comes to passing down programs that work, some that don't work as well. So it's important for us to figure out the ones that do work and continue those on. And the older that we get, we can really
Yeah,
understand,
and
oh, okay, well, I did see a lot of that when I was younger, so no wonder.
and when I was really small, he had a desk at home, and his work desk, and I would sit under the desk and eat chocolate or biscuits or whatever, and I would listen to him on his business calls. So I remember being 3 and doing this, and I was absorbing so much in the way that he spoke to clients and the difficult ones, and the way he answered the phone. you know, all of this, I was sitting and munching away and listening and taking it in. And I feel that I learned a lot from that. And then when would get off the phone, he would always say to me, Katie, always be honest in business. He was always saying to me this to me. He's saying, always be honest, always be honest. And this was something, yeah, it was something that stuck to me. And also, yeah, to have integrity in what I'm doing.
Yeah, our parents have a way of expressing big concepts with only a few words, and they can really stick. It might be something of that generation, right? My father was really keen on being very specific and strong about what he'd say, and it didn't need a lot of words. So when it came to working, it was, and creating in general, or just being, he said 2 words, but he said it in such a way that it would really stick, right? He said, be productive. like that was it, right? And so he was also, let's say, a serial entrepreneur as well. I think he was running 3 or 4 different businesses, sometime all at the same time, right? And going from one to the other, yet he always had time to balance out with the life and business part, like the family balance. Yet there was a lot of unpredictability that came along with that life. And I got to see that firsthand when I was little as well. He owned a few apartment buildings. And so there would be a tenant that would call, and it would be 8 o'clock at night, or it'd be 7 or noon on the weekends. And there's an emergency. We have to move right now. Come on, Brian, let's go. Right. So that was something that I really didn't like when I was young, because you're in your own little bubble and your little creative space, and I'm going outside to play or whatever it is when I hang out with my friends, and all of a sudden, boom, I've got to go and fix some leaky pipe, or go play with the clean an apartment, or redo some painting, or right, rip a carpet out, right, something like that. Yeah. Uh, those
Yeah.
those skills are really great now, yet unpredictability is a big part of that entrepreneurial job. So have you had to deal with that as well?
From my own work,
Right.
my own business, do you mean? Yeah, I mean, in India especially, the shows would happen. You never really knew much time in advance. So sometimes I might have done 3 or 4 back-to-back shows, and I was traveling all over the country, and get home at say 7 in the morning and think, yes, I've got a day off, and I'm going to sleep till the afternoon and watch a film and do nothing. I'd fall asleep. 3, 4 hours later, I'd get a call and, okay, there's a show tonight. You've got to come for a rehearsal in 2 hours because there's a new Bollywood film out and you've got to learn the dance. And then in 5 hours, you're going to start traveling, and it's a 7-hour journey. And it was like this. And I had my bag packed, or it was ready. I had a special suitcase for gigs, and of course, then, because I would have said to the kids that, okay, tonight we're going to watch a film and this and this, and then I'd have to say I've got to go. So after that happened a few times, I would always then keep it a surprise, just in case I did get a last minute show, and then it would be an extra surprise that, I don't have to work today. Let's go and get ice cream. Yeah. And then sometimes I could take them with me as well, and they even got involved at some of them. Sometimes my daughter danced as well, and so they also grew up backstage or on stage and got to meet lots of sort of celebrities and also entrepreneurs, because obviously in India it's so much business there. And but then sometimes they would say, no, we want to play with our friends, like you said. Do we have to go to a show? And so I've always had to be very spontaneous, as you say, and things happening at the drop of a hat. especially with the performance side.
Right. Yeah, it's best to be quite flexible when it comes to being an entrepreneur, because you never know when something's going to just pop out of nowhere, and it's like, okay, now something's on fire, let's take care of it. Or I need to be in performance mode right now. Oh, here's a client call, or
Yeah.
right. So yeah,
Yeah.
definitely thanks for walking us through the different challenges. We're going to come out with 2 more videos talking about the opportunities and also the strategies of how to be a successful entrepreneur and parent at the same time. So everyone watch out for that. And we will be coming out with those 2 videos next. Thank you, Katie, and we will catch up in the next video.
Thank you.